everyone. So I'm not going to teach you a new language today. I'm not going to even show you any code today. I just want to tell you how we use mean at Edgar, what we learned from it, and where we're moving now. So if you don't know Edgar, at Edgar we help small and medium companies get agency quality work for affordable prices. We do that by building ad hoc teams specifically for that problem. On the other hand, we offer freelancers cool projects that they would like to work on and that match their skill set. So we started Edgar 2 years ago. The craze of the time was JavaScript. We did an analysis what that would mean for us. We knew our product needed to be fast, needed to be real time, needed to work everywhere. And we as a startup didn't have many resources, but we all knew JavaScript, so we decided, hey, if it works everywhere, we had years and years of experience with it, let's see how it works on the backend side. So I made a simple graph of where everywhere JavaScript actually fits. So from the backend server to the desktop client, to sockets, to external APIs, to MongoDB, everything is either JavaScript or JSON. It's not such a new language as new paradigms, since if you're programming just on the front end, you really don't get that in touch with the problems with callbacks, with single-threadedness. The browser tends to handle things for you, and even if the code is buggy, applications still work. But Node, you really have to take care of things with Node. So a really jump start into it. So we know that Node is fast and scalable. It works for us. It has a large collection of packages that really cover everything we wanted to do. And it's a bit lower level. So we talked about Go before. Go is really the most comparable thing with Node on the server side, if you have Ruby or PHP in mind. So with Edgar, we created the Crafter, older product that helps you create stories. It's 30K of lines of code and uses 12 external APIs, and it works fine. So, like I said, for Node, there is a learning curve. You get a good book, and you can get on it in a month. So next up, MongoDB. They say it's fast. They say it's scalable. It is adaptable. It's great for starting projects, for testing stuff. It has the same JSON interface found in other projects like this. It can also help you with performance issues. It has a lot of tools to help you along, but it's not really assets. So you don't have transactions. You don't have schemas. When disaster strikes, you really only you have to have backups, doing stuff, advanced stuff there. You can do a lot with the paid-for packages from MongoDB, but the free ones aren't up to it. And it has, if you miss part of the API, you get to this situation where it really doesn't take care of you. That means I said should first ask questions maybe, because you get a positive response from Mongo, and it really didn't do what it said it did. So we had a problem where you had to log out twice and we couldn't trace it. And it turned out that Mongo, there were actually two successive calls. One was log out, so clear that session. And by the time that node answered the client and the client did a refresh, and node got the next request and asked Mongo, does that user have a session? That cycle was faster than Mongo's delete that entry cycle. So actually, you were still logged in. So that was terrible. Even though Mongo said, I deleted that, and even though the next response came later, it was still there. So, are there any use cases for Mongo? Well, if you know Elasticsearch, that is a good use case for Mongo as well. Everything like caching, it's really good if you need distributed caching. For real-time applications like chat or like our crafter, it was really good. And any sporadic random beta, it doesn't get schemas, so you just take an object, store it, it'll be there. You can query it. Okay, but if you really need ACID, Node doesn't let you down. It has access. It gives you a good API for all SQLs like MongoSQL, SQLite, etc. But if you need the JSON interface you got with Mongo, you can still use Sequelize. That's a really good package. And you can even set up REST endpoints really fast with it. So great for quick jobs. So moving on to Angular, another product by Google. So I'm not going to talk much about it. It's really good. It really is the reason why we were able to build up our product so fast. It's modular. You can build. There's a lot of existing modules you can just take. Building your own is a good experience. The community is large. You can get help anywhere. You can get supporters for your own project really easy. So, and it's really good for offline apps. So there was a question on Facebook about large apps. I have a couple of thoughts on that because I had to do a couple of big apps. So separation of code is really important. You don't want to mix modules with other files. I even made it so that I put a module and its HTML and even its CSS less code in its own directory. I even forked a few of those on GitHub for others to use. They were so expandable. And like I said, sub-projects is needed. And another thing I learned with Angular is don't be afraid to reload. If you have a big application, you tend to just add another configuration file for the next root. And one day that the roots list will become so big and the code base will become so large, it will take 2 or 3 megabytes to download to the browser. So the app will be unresponsive. Things will break with minification. A lot of things can go wrong. So my next tip is, if you do have offline features, separate them from the main app. store them locally, just like Google does it with its Drive. So the way the mean stack is developed, it's all JavaScript, so Chrome developer tools is enough. We use JetBrains as well. So name points are grunt scripts. You can use grunt scripts not just for JavaScript. You can use them for any project you can imagine. You just have to have that node package in the backend, and you can run your scripts. So node inspector, Node.js debugger, just like Chrome front end JavaScript, you can debug backend JavaScript with the same tools. So live reload. So if you work with CSS, you get live updates and multi-ticks. So with the whole mean stack, there was one great thing, because I personally didn't know about these great tools before I started my adventure with the mean stack. So I've been developing business-grade applications for 8 years on various platforms. I've been active in the WordPress community, and it really took me to show me those great tools like Grunt, like Mocha, like Phantom.js, to really speed up my WordPress development. So I think that's a great point. Yeoman and Grunt are really good tools to get you help on various projects. I think a couple of these tools, these are all in Node. A couple of these tools were mentioned before with Go, so I know they're okay. Okay, are there any questions? So if you like anything about Edgar, if you have any more questions with anything we do, you're welcome to give us a call.
Can you show us your demo?
Sure. I can show you. Or the product I built with Node. Bad internet. Okay.
I have one question. Why is Angular good for offline?
If you want to compare it with something like Backbone, yes. Why is specifically Angular? It has a lot of modules that work with the data, and with offline apps, you really need to make sure you have the latest resources with your latest data. So building an app that uses sockets to live update something, but when the network drops and you don't have that anymore, it's really good that with Angular you can use the same data bindings so that you completely separate your app from the data sources. So that sync really works well with the way, not Angular in itself, but the way it's structured. So I would say Angular gives you the scaffolding you need to make a great offline app. So this is an example. Slow internet. An example of slow internet. Okay. Nie ma click. Okay. So this app was the front end was made with Angular. Back end is with made custom. The real but the real hardcore coding is actually in the crafter. I may be able to show it. So you saw how the story looks. I'm going to show you how the editor for the story works. Are you logged in? All right. I forget these things. Okay, we can show. I can show this later. I think.